What's going on, everybody? Hope you're all having a fantastic day today. Now, ladies and gentlemen, some more information came out from EA DICE about Battlefield 2042, the direction of this game, and what they're planning on adding into the game in the very near future. Of course, the community is a little split. I've seen some positive feedback, and I've also seen some negative feedback. I'm going to go ahead and sit back and give my own personal feedback. But of course, if you guys enjoy the video, you do want to, keep up to date with this channel, and you want to see more FPS content, I do post everything about Call of Duty, Battlefield, X-Defiant. By all means, don't forget to go ahead and subscribe and hit that notification button. We're obviously on the road to 50,000 subscribers. And last but not least, as well, we're going to be streaming on Kick Day. So if you guys want to catch me live and in action, chat it up with me, by all means, you can find all the links to all my socials down in the description of this video. Now, ladies and gentlemen, like I was saying, this information is kind of being taken in multiple different directions, but at the end of the day, I personally just love the feedback that we're getting from the actual developers themselves. A lot of people are salty with the direction or where, Battlefield is heading when it comes to 2042, and I understand where you're coming from, and I don't expect anybody to want to hop back into this experience. But for me personally, when I look at Battlefield 2042, my expectations are all the way down, to the ground. And when I load up this game, what I want to see from the developers, from basically this point on until they finally stop supporting this title, is just proof of concept that they understand what we want out of a Battlefield game. Battlefield 2042 launched in probably the worst state I've ever seen a Battlefield game launch in. It had absolutely no identity, and even till this current date, it still lacks that identity. But I can see the work and effort that these developers put into the game right now, and I could see that they are, pretty passionate about the overall franchise. You have to understand, a lot of new developers are working on this game, and a lot of the OGs have completely left the overall franchise as a whole. So they're coming in fresh, they're working with one of the hardest engines to work with, and they're trying to produce a Battlefield game with it. Right now, I gotta say, I'm happy with the direction that they're pointing, and I'm happy with the actual feedback that they're giving the community. If you guys don't know, EA DICE constantly puts out a podcast for us, and you guys can listen to it. I believe you can listen on Android devices. I listen to it, obviously, on my Apple phone, but you guys can go wherever you want, and you can physically hear behind the scenes on what these developers are working on, what their plans are for the game. They bring in actual developers behind the scenes who are, some of the head devs on certain projects that they're working on, so you can hear their feedback, hear where you can actually contact them, so on and so forth. It might not be as good as X-Defiant communication, but dang it, compared to what we've been getting nowadays when it comes to Call of Duty, I will take this any day of the week. But for those who don't know, Battlefield 2042 is going to have a tiny little quality of life update today, and honestly, I really do enjoy stuff like this, and it just helps Battlefield stand out from the rest of the FPS crowd in so many different ways because they actually are improving things. It's not like Call of Duty where they say, okay, I'm going to go ahead and, improve and enhance the UI. Oh, the whole community hates the UI. We're going to change it. I promise you guys we're going to change it. And then they go ahead and do very tinier little, no, they don't do tiny little tweaks at all. If they say they're going to change something like revamping some of the maps, rehauling the UI, changing things around within the game, you best believe they're going to go all in with it. And that's what I love about all of these updates, is that they physically change stuff the community wants to see, and I really appreciate that. But in the actual podcast, they finally went over a topic that the community has been waiting for a very long time. And like I said, this is where the community is kind of split at the moment, and that is squad management and squad orders. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, finally, DICE has given us a little bit more information on how all of this stuff is going to be handled. Of course, it's going to be released, I believe, during Season 5, so we still got some time to go ahead until we can actually get this stuff into the game. But at the end of the day, I'm just happy to hear the direction that they're pushing with it. Now, like I said, this is where we're kind of split, though. A lot of people are coming out saying, why do we have to wait this long for a feature like this to be added into a Battlefield game? And I completely agree with you guys. It took, over a year, close to 2, to get something that has been in every single Battlefield game since the beginning of time. It does seem a bit fishy, doesn't it? A lot of these features have been in Battlefield for ages now, and it's the same problem as Call of Duty. They keep stripping these core features that never needed to be stripped in the first place. But this is why I give it props, though, because you can't always just be 24/7 negative when they finally do listen, about something that you guys are critiquing. Call of Duty, for example, we complain, and then they make very tiny partial changes that aren't even noticeable, and we are forced to accept it. But in Battlefield, we complain, and they actually listen and eventually add it into the game. A year down the road, 2 years down the road, it doesn't matter how long down the road, at least they do it. It's not going to be something that is shrugged off, something that's, ignored. No, they're going to talk to you, they're going to communicate with you, and they're going to go ahead and actually finish and put something out into the product that the community wants to see. And I respect that. I really do. And that just, it makes Battlefield a game that I want to put more time in compared to the Call of Duty franchise nowadays. But let's dive a little bit deeper into how squad management and squad orders are going to work in this game. It's pretty simple, honestly, but it's a few things that I do want to go ahead and discuss. I mean, it's pretty much your basic squad management system. It's going to be very simplistic, nothing too complex. You're going to be in the game, you're going to be able to go to the pause menu, and you're going to see every single squad that's in your lobby. You're going to be able to see if your buddies are in the game, if they're in different squads, who's actually in the lobby itself, who's in each and every squad in the actual game that you're playing in. It's some really good stuff. It's stuff that's required, especially if you're playing Battlefield 2042 solo, because that's one of the hardest things. Nothing sucks more than being put in a squad that is just not going to benefit you at all. And before, you could change squads in Battlefield 2042. You could. But the problem with it was the fact that you can't choose which squad you want to join into. It just randomly generates the squads, and, you just had to kind of hop around. You don't know who's in which. You don't know, what's going on and where. That was some of the best parts about some of the previous Battlefield games, is that if I wanted to hop into a squad that I knew would fit my playstyle, I can single-handedly do that. I can look through all the squads, and yeah, some of them will be locked, some of them I can't get into, but I can almost handpick the people that I want to go ahead and play with to basically optimize my overall experience. It's not going to be a guessing game. It's not going to be like the Call of Duty skill-based matchmaking where it's going to put you with a bunch of people who aren't in your skill bracket and you're going to verse 20, 30-plus people who are exactly your same skill. None of that nonsense, none of that garbage. Now you can finally go ahead and see the squad that you want to join, which, again, I think is a positive, because squad play is so crucial when it comes to Battlefield games. Team play is so crucial, and that's what Battlefield 2042 lacks the most. The specialist changes has helped improve some of the team play aspects a little bit. It's been nice to have, quote-unquote classes come back into the game, or the middle ground for classes come back into the game. But it didn't help overall with everybody playing as a team. This right here, I'm hoping, will push everybody in that direction. And again, I want to make it very clear, because I know I'll get roasted about this sometime down the road for some strange reason. I get it's not that amazing that we had to wait this long for a feature that has been in Battlefield since day one. But like I always say, think about where COD's at right now. A freaking minimap. As something as basic as a minimap, we are still fighting with Infinity Ward to add that into the game. Do you know how ridiculous that is? At least they are changing it. It might be a year down the road, but at least they are fessing up to the mistakes. They're owning up. They're dropping the ego. They're taking the L, and they change it at the end of the day. The stuff that we had to deal with in COD is so utterly ridiculous. I mean, even the perk system. The Modern Warfare 2 has the worst perk system I've ever witnessed in my whole life. And instead of just fixing it and just unlocking all the perks and just chalking it up as an L, they just keep increasing the time. Oh, you guys don't like it? Just increase the time more. Oh, you still don't like it? Increase the time more. Basically, I don't know the purpose behind it. Just change it. But they won't. They don't care like that. So at the end of the day, I'm not going to talk anybody down for being angry at this at all. Not even in the slightest. If you don't like it, you don't like it, and I understand why. But I just want to say, don't come at my neck for being partially happy that we're seeing changes like this, especially with the bull crap that, we have been going through in a lot of different FPS communities. But just a little bit further as well, I do want to mention the squad orders. I'm a tad bit worried about squad orders. I'm going to be honest with you guys. Squad orders are, again, it's the basic squad orders that we've been using in other Battlefield games. Your squad leader can mark stuff up and they'll get additional points. If you follow the orders, you get additional points, so on and so forth. But it's only XP, it seems like, so far. Now, I get it. I do understand the direction that they're trying to push here, but XP isn't enough to get people to go ahead and follow orders, I'm sorry to say. There's not enough stuff in this game that I care about to, level up my character to get. I pretty much have everything in the game. If you've been playing Battlefield for a while now, 2042 at least, you more than likely have everything in the game. The Battle Pass is extraordinarily easy to grind through, so on and so forth. A lot of stuff is very simple in this game and already pretty much, hand-fed to a lot of the community. So XP, I don't think that's going to encourage people to actually, use the squad system. Obviously, Battlefield players will use the squad system because it's just in our blood. It's what we do. We're going to naturally want to ping stuff, do orders, work as a team, so on and so forth. Sometimes they don't, but, the majority of the time, especially if you play with buddies, you do. But, the overall goal, the overall vision, I don't think is going to pan out correctly the way the developers want it to behind the scenes. I really do think that they believe a lot of people are going to want to grind out these orders just simply because of XP, and they won't. I'm telling you, Battlefield 5, it's ridiculously underrated for this reason. I didn't really care for the game that much, but at the end of the day, this feature was outstanding, and that was the squad orders. Being able to do commands for your squad leader, and, you know, the more your team does stuff, the more your team works together, you actually get streaks, you get rewards. And they weren't crazy streaks. It's not like people are dropping chopper gunners and stuff like that on you in the game. But it was fun streaks. You know, you could go ahead and get ammo, you could drop, you know, meds, you could drop stuff for your team, and if you really grind it out and you really go for, you know, objectives and points, you can actually drop a bomb on everybody in the lobby, and it's not everybody in the lobby, but a specific point. You could put on a flag or something like that if you truly want to. And it was great because it wasn't stupidly overpowered. You always knew when it was coming in because it made a very distinct sound, so, you know, you could see where it's coming, you can get out of the area if you want to get out before it actually drops. It was a very balanced way of having a streak in the game without it being like Call of Duty streaks. And like I said, it encouraged squad play. That is how you get people to play together. XP, on the other hand, I don't think that's going to work, Dice. You could test it out as much as you want. You could see how it's going to work, but I don't think it's worth it. I really hope they don't spend all this time, you know, with this not being in the game, since it's coming out. Season 5 is not coming out anytime soon. I really hope they don't spend all this time with this same mindset that they're just going to be releasing this with XP. I hope that behind the scenes they notice this ahead of time. They put in a lot of work so it doesn't have to be, you know, months after it releases that we see a change. I want it to be fixed pronto. I don't know what type of streaks they would want to add. I don't know if it'll be too much work to add in a freaking bomb that you could drop on people. I don't know. You know, it's a lot of coding to be done. But that right there would be freaking phenomenal. Be freaking phenomenal. I mean, shoot, even for the drop system, don't allow people to be able to drop vehicles or drop anything on them, ranger dogs, whatever, unless they actually have squad points. That should be a thing. Forget being able to call in, you know, a MAV or a brawler or a tank or, you know, an AA. Forget being able to call in all that stuff without having to be in the main menu. If you want to be able to call that stuff in, you should have to be able to work for your points. You rack up enough points and your team can call one in, and then you guys can work together to actually, you know, take advantage of that, go take some objectives. It will add to the team play. People will be encouraged to actually work together because they know if they work together later on, they can get an actual reward for it, not just simply XP. I don't know. I would love to hear your guys' opinions, though. Do you guys agree? Do you guys disagree? Just leave them down in the comments section because I'm curious. Because like I said, this whole topic has been 50-50 split throughout the whole community, so I don't know. I could be completely wrong here, and this might be a bad take. It's just my personal take, as I always do on this channel. You guys know me. It's my personal opinions. Nothing more, nothing less. I'm not a genius. I'm not an all-knowing god. None of this bull crap. You know, I'm just some regular, ordinary dude who's sharing his opinions about Battlefield, a game that he loves. So, of course, you guys leave your opinions down below as well, and let me know how you're feeling about this overall update here. But ladies and gentlemen, thanks so much for checking out this video. If you enjoyed it, make sure to leave a like button. If you hated it, leave a dislike. Also, if you're brand new and enjoy the content, don't subscribe to that notification button. Also, want to chat with me, this story, do so. I have Twitter and Discord, both linked down in the description. And also want to catch me with live streams, video games, over on Twitch. Link that's in the description as well. But guys, thanks so much for tuning in. See you on the next one. Peace out.